Happy Friday, you guys. I'm here to give you a review on Put a Ring on It, Season 3, Episode 10. We are back again at the same scenario. The three couples are given the opportunity to see whether or not they want to date each other or go on a date with others. Charla and Otis are asked a question. Charla says she wants to go on a what she calls a closure date with Chris. Otis is not at all excited about that. He seems to be very disappointed. He openly asks and says in the confessional that he doesn't understand what she needs to have any type of closure with Chris for. I think if anything, Otis is pretty much bothered. He thinks that Charlotte is getting a little too close with Chris. He's questioning his relationship with her and what they have going on. My thing is, I think Charlotte just really wants to be appreciated by Otis, and he's not doing that. He's basically sweeping everything under the rug. Dr. Nicole is giving them tools to use, but a lot of the things that she's telling them, he is not taking heed to them. He's basically taking Charlotte for granted. Charlotte decides to go on a date with Chris. They basically had a great date. He basically lets her know that she needs to tie some loose ends with Otis. He wants to proceed and be with her, but he does not want her to be with him, and she still wants to be with Otis. Otis was given a date. He decides to go back on the date with Tara. They basically have slight chemistry, but not as much as Chris and Charlotte. I think it's one of the things what he did with like a revenge date. He decided he wanted to go on a date because she did. Basically, Dr. Nicole asked them after their dates whether or not they see themselves putting a ring on it and whether they're in a good space. Basically, Otis stands up and says that he thinks they are in a good space. Dr. Nicole says she doesn't think that's what Charlotte said. I think it's one of the things where Charlotte's questioning the relationship right now. I don't know whether or not she wants to be committed to Otis because she sees that red flags in the relationship, which I don't understand why she see a lot of them in the beginning. Otis pretty much wants to be dominant in a relationship. He doesn't want to let Charlotte have any type of, voice in the relationship, and it's more one sided on his end. He wants to be in control of everything, and you can't relationship cannot last when you want to be that type of person. He wants to be dominant. I'm not gonna say quite narcissist, but he does have slight tendency and characteristics of a narcissist. Shorty and her actual friend Kenneth, well, boyfriend Kenneth, they are to the point where they decide they don't want to go on dates with the others. They decide they want to go on a date together. They decide to go to a yoga class. It begins off where they actually were instructed on what to do. They got kind of close, and just like he was saying, he wanted to get close with Shorty. He just basically wanted to cuddle with her, which I thought was cute. I mean, it's to the point I guess they were trying to date each other and see where things go. Shorty starts popping off with the questions. Kenneth becomes very tense after each question. She basically asks him what he's going to do different. He basically says he is going to do things different, but he said he wants to show her. She basically like, no, I want you to give me examples of what you're going to do. I think it's one of those things where she's basically questioning Kenneth's finances and basically wants to know her position in his life. One of those things where Kenneth wants her, but he doesn't really want to stand up and say what he's going to do as a man in the relationship. And I think that Short is getting a little bit tired of the same okey doke. Like she said, get out of there now. Like she said, she's giving Kenneth chance after chance, and she still doesn't understand why he's to the point where he feels like he can be dominant and not show any traits of a actual dominant male, meaning taking care of the home and doing everything he's supposed to be doing. She basically asked him point blank. She said, "Are you going to take care of the bills, do everything you're supposed to do, cook and clean?" He basically says with his chest out, yes. She basically laughs it off like she said, "Yeah, right. I give you every opportunity. You fail." She basically always downplays him in the relationship, and she also always talks down on him. Kenneth watches her and listens to what she's saying, but you can see in his eyes that he feels defeated. Like he feels like he's not the man in the relationship. Like she wants to wear the pants, and he's struggling, trying to get a ground in the relationship. I'm not gonna say he doesn't love her, but I think the things that she wants from him, he's not ready to do that, and he's not mentally and ready, if that makes sense. But I don't know whether or not their relationship will last, but I don't think it's one thing was like she's being physically abused or anything like that. It's more of an emotional thing, and she's more being tugged at when it comes to a Kenneth. She wants him to commit, and not only commit by saying it, but doing it with actions. And Kenneth is not ready. Like she said out of her own mouth, she feel like Kenneth is still in a boy phase, and she's ready for him to become a full fledged man. They also got into an argument when they got back home. She basically was asking Kenneth the same questions again, what he was going to do different. Kenneth had had a little too much to drink. They got into a little altercation verbally. Basically, she was telling Kenneth that she don't think that he's the one. He was basically saying, "I don't think you're the one." He gets very irate with her, and he's telling her that he's tired of the shenanigans and tired of all the outbursts and all the name calling that she's saying about him. She basically looks at him with a blank stare, like she don't understand what and where all this is coming from. I think it's one of the things where the tension's built up. We watched on every episode where Kenneth has sat back and let Shorty, take the floor and say what she had to say. And it's one of those things where I guess now all that's built up, and now he's to the point where he wants to say something, and it's just coming out all at one time, and he's blurting it out. But thankfully it did not become physical or anything like that, because I was getting to the point, like I was saying, he was doing a lot of drinking, so I wasn't real sure if it was gonna get violent or anything like that. But they did get very intense with the argument. Shorty basically gets very irate, and I guess she's had enough. She decides to go into the room and she starts packing his stuff. At first, I thought she was just calling his bluff, but she eventually did start packing his stuff, and she basically said, he gonna leave with trash bag. That's what he came with. So Kenneth storms out to the balcony. He's basically taking himself a drink, and I don't know what he was saying to himself when he came out, but he came out. He was acting really irate. He was doing backflips, getting all in her face. They just, basically just having an all out blowout, and things went left really, really quick. She finally starts, getting this stuff. She was like, "Well, I'm gonna give you a suitcase, something you ain't had." And she was like, "With all the bills, or half the bills you owe me, you can just keep that. Like you gonna need it more than me." So he was telling her before he left, he said, "Don't think that I'm gonna beg you back and try to come back." When he actually is got in his suitcase and rolls it out, she puts most of his stuff out to the in the hallway, and she said, "You can leave right behind it." So finally, he storms out and he gets his things, and he basically says that he hopes that she don't think he gonna try to crawl back. But he said maybe in the morning when he cool off, he probably will ask her to come back and say that he's sorry and can they work it out. We also move on to Alfonso and Shay. Alfonso is basically having a conversation with his baby mom. She basically is telling him that she likes the co-parenting scenario that they have going on, but it's not to the point where she feels like they need to change anything. Alfonso is seems like he's very happy with the fact that she's congratulating on him on being a good dad and being co-parenting really, really well. I think it's one of the things where Shay is kind of a little jealous of their relationship. I don't know whether she thinks they're still fooling around. I don't know if she's to that point. I don't know. But I'm thinking this is the son that he said he had. That's his baby mom. But Shay also, like I said in the beginning, she wanted him to, basically let it be known their relationship and show her off to the family. Fonzo yes to do that. Fonzo's to the point where he's been in a relationship with Shay, but then again he has not, because he's not introduced her to the family, nothing like that, including his mom. Uh, uh, Alfonso and Shay's dad have a heart to heart. He basically lets Alfonso know that he does not like the fact that Alfonso is playing with his daughter's heart, and most importantly that he's falling at the wayside when it comes to her feelings. Like he said, he loves his daughter and he don't want to see her hurt. Alfonso says that he's sorry. He doesn't intentionally mean to hurt Shay or anything like that, and he will try to work on the relationship. And most importantly, that he will try to mend it and see where they go from there. They basically hugged it out, and he told Alfonso that he hoped that he will hear to what he was saying, and that he wants nothing best for his daughter, and he doesn't want to see her hurt. Basically, he and Shay do go on a date. Shay seems like she's been wanting that closure for a minute, and you could tell when her Alfonso goes out, they hadn't been out in a minute. If that makes sense. Not saying they haven't been out on a date or anything like that, but he hadn't probably really been showing her no type of attention and love. That's something that's probably what she been missing. Uh she when I know when she declined to go out on a date with the other person, I was saying to myself that, she probably wanted to see what things go with Alfonso, because she didn't like the fact Alfonso was going out with the other girl. She was a little jealous, and she was jealous when he went out with the other lady, and they got into an altercation. You could tell she gets very jealous and irate when he gives any woman any type of attention. She wants everything to always be just her, him, and her. Uh, Alfonso, I'm not gonna say he don't love Shay, but he takes Shay for granted because he know that Shay ain't going nowhere. That's just my opinion. But hopefully Shay and Alfonso will get it together, decide what they're gonna do. Dr. Nicole lets them know that they need to work on their relationship a little more, and most importantly, Alfonso needs to start hearing Shay. Something he hadn't been doing for a minute. He's listening, but he's not hearing. He needs to start reappreciating Shay. I think he takes for granted because he feel like she ain't going nowhere. She gonna always be there. I think it's one of the things where if she decide to walk away for good, that's the only way he'll straighten up and fly right. But we're gonna see where the couples go from here, and most importantly, we're gonna hopefully hope that they'll come to a conclusion on the next episode, decide whether or not they're gonna leave single or they're gonna put a ring on it. Me personally, I think the only relationship that really might have a leg to stand on might be Alfonso and Shay. Now, a lot of people might say they was the underdog, especially with Shay and her jealous ways. But I don't know about Otis and Shay. Like they drifting apart instead of getting more close. And the monkey wrench was thrown there with Kenneth and Shorty, so I don't know how that thing gonna pan out. I don't know, but we'll see. I think it's one thing where Kenneth gonna crawl back, Shorty gonna take him back. She just was a little upset, and she wanted to show him that he couldn't just push his weight around, and she wasn't gonna sit in there and let him do it. So she had to basically put her foot down. I think she was more embarrassed than anything the way he was acting, because she stated that she didn't like the fact that when he got drinking, he acted irate like that. I think it was one of the things where this ain't the first time he even did that, but she didn't realize it was going to escalate as quickly as it did. They were going to say things that they said to each other. But sometimes you have to be careful what you say to people, because a lot of times you can't take it back. You could tell Kenneth was more hurt than anything. He loves Shorty, but he's kind of hurt because he's trying to show himself to be somebody, and she's keeps putting him down and not allowing him to grow as a person, which can kind of be frustrating. You can tell he keep trying, but she keep knocking him down as far as his manhood is concerned. And you got to understand when you can't keep doing that to a man, because eventually, he might be to the point where he might not want to come back. He might walk away. He might fall into the love's arms of somebody else, and then you might realize you want to be with him. So I don't know if she's trying to test him. I don't know what she's doing, but she keeps saying that she wants him to stand up and do what she wants him to do as far as them growing forward and moving forward and possibly get married. But I don't know what it's gonna be or whatever. We have to wait till the next episode and see. Hopefully they'll be able to work their differences out. I think more than likely Ken will probably be back on the next episode. He'll be back home. Like she said, he when they broke up before, he would always come back, because she told us how he came, got down to the radio station to her job, and basically tried to get her back. So I don't think it's one thing where he just gonna leave her alone. I think they just need a little time to breathe and cool off, and maybe they'll get back together. But we're gonna see what Otis gonna do. See whether or not he gonna keep mistreating Miss Charlotte. See whether or not he gonna start taking her, you know, in other words, taking her face value. Because I think he one of the things where he take her for granted. He think that nobody else will be to the point where they will treat her how he treats her. 'Cause I could tell how he gave her the side eye when she said that she wanted to actually go on another date, a closure date with Chris. You can tell that her and Chris have a lot of chemistry. They smiling, they cuddling. If you didn't know in the beginning that she was with Otis, you would kind of think that they had been dating for a minute, because they have a lot more chemistry than her and Otis do. Her and Otis, they don't smile at each other, they don't cuddle, they don't do none of that. So I think that's kind of odd considering how many number of years they say they have been together. But I think it's one of the things where Charlotte wants to be appreciated, and I think Otis is just his less his masculinity and the fact that he wants to be the alpha male. He let that get in the way of relationship, and he just don't want to back down. He don't want to be wrong. And that, sometimes that could be okay, but you got to be to the point where you got to come to a common ground, and most important, you got to be willing to compromise for the sake of another person's feelings. And I think Otis has a hard time with that. You can tell how he interacts with Charlotte. He basically downplays what she says. He doesn't listen to her. And he basically, takes her for granted. And you can tell, you can see the hurt in her eyes, some of the stuff that he says to her. And I'm like, how could you say something like that to a person you say that you love? So we'll see where this goes. And most importantly, we'll see whether or not Otis be to the point where he's ready to actually commit to Charlotte. Now, I don't know about Kenneth and Shorter. We have to wait and see. They had that little fallout, so we have to see where they go and what they're gonna do. We don't know if their relationship is over or they're just for the cameras. We have to wait and see. But I'm waiting for episode 11. I'm waiting for them to give their final decision, see where they're gonna go, what is gonna happen. But I noticed on this particular season, nobody has swayed out of the relationship. They have went on dates, but nobody has actually moved forward and cheated or did anything like that. We haven't had a episode with I think it's like 2 episodes ago where the actual couple, one of them actually streamed out of the marriage, but yeah, not marriage, out of relationship, and decided that they wanted to have sex with one of the actual people they went on a date with. But Shorty seemed like she was a little giddy and like she was having a good time when they went to the yoga session, but when they got home it went left. So I don't know. We gotta wait and see how they thing pan out and see where it goes from there. But I know when Dr. Nicole gets back into the room with them, she's not gonna be happy about that. She's gonna give Mr. Kenneth the side eye because she was like, all her hard work like it's down the toilet. Because he kept saying that Dr. Nicole gave him the tools. Yes, she gave you the tools, but she did not give you the tools to argue and be negative when it comes to the relationship. She gave the tools in order to work together to try to come to a common ground, and most importantly, try to build something positive. If that makes sense. I want it. You gonna get a beating if you don't get your stupid ass up out of here. Bitch, Jose, I'm fucking tired of your crazy ass. Good night. I'm sleeping. Yeah, you won't be sleeping. So what makes you sleeping? You don't get the fuck out of here. You already told my knobs up on them. Go to bed. Yeah, you guys, we're gonna wrap up this session of the review for Put a Ring on It. We're gonna see what happens on the next episode. I hope you guys enjoyed the review. Hope you guys have a great weekend. I'll see you on the next one. Bye, guys.